Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Varberg in Hallands county in the southwest of Sweden. And for this one we're going just outside of Varberg to a little village called Veddige, and we're going to visit Byaregårdens Brygghus and have a taste of their brown ale. Now I got this beer a few weekends ago from the Byaregårdens in Varberg when I was up there with my flatmates. One of my flatmates is half Swedish and her Swedish side of the family come from Varberg, so we took a little trip up there, and it's a really nice part of the world actually. So if you do find yourself in Sweden, definitely go and visit Hallands County. Really nice little place. But anyway, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the company. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. The brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Byaregårdens, and there's also a link there to the Facebook profile for the channel and also my Untappd profile as well. And feel free to connect with me in whatever way you wish. Always interesting to hear from you guys. And to my Swedish viewers, please let me know some other Swedish beers you would like me to have a look at. Always interesting to try beers from different countries, and some of the Swedish beers that I've tried since I've arrived in Lund have been really good, so I really would like to hear from you guys. But anyway, to tell you about Byaregårdens Brygghus, and I will apologise if any of my Swedish pronunciation isn't quite right, but this brewery is located in Veddige, which is about 1.5 kilometres to the north of Varberg in Hallands county in Sweden. It's about 45 minutes or so to the south of Göteborg, or Gothenburg as you would call it in English. But it was founded in 2010 by Robert and Inger, and their son Eric is actually the brewer there. But they bought the land overlooking the Visons Valley for their small farm back in 2003, and when they bought this land they actually built a temporary house in 2005 which was to house the family while they built their main home, and this temporary home would later become the brewery because it essentially became free space. But over the time that they were building the house, they gradually added various animals such as horses and sheep and things like that, so it's actually quite a nice little farm brewery actually. But Robert had always been keen to homebrew, and he was prompted by his friend Kerstin from Frida's restaurant in Kerendal to follow it through, and so this was basically where the birth of Byaregårdens Brygghus came from really. But a lot of work was put into the remodelling of the old house for use as a brewery and to create a business plan for the brewery, and it was officially founded in 2010. But once the business plan was approved, they officially founded the company and they bought their equipment, and they're now brewing over 50,000 litres of beer per year. And in the summer of 2015 they also opened an on-site cafe as well, and they also run beer tasting sessions and brewing courses as well. So as I said, go and check out the brewery website and you will learn a little bit more about that. So I'll put the original Swedish version for you there, and also the kind of Google translated English version there. So do check out the brewery website and you can see all of the different beers that they do as well. Just to list the other beers that you can get from these guys though, you get the Pilsner, which is meant to be a really nice Pilsner, actually one of the best in Sweden I've heard. You get the IPA, the Lager, Tre and Helva, the single hop, the brown ale, the Rukul, which is a smoke beer. That was one I really wanted to try, but they didn't have it in the Byaregårdens. They also have the Letul, the Julul, and also the ale beer as well. So there's a fair little list of beers you can get from these guys, so just pick one that's a style that you like and give them a go. It's supposed to be a really nice little family run brewery. But anyway, that's your kind of brief little history of Byaregårdens Brygghus if you like. So for this one we shall now get on to the tasting. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this before we open it up. It's a 5.5% brown ale. I think on the front it says our craftful and tasty example of American style or something like that. I'm still getting used to Swedish, but it just says something down here. It's our craftful and tasty American brown ale or something like that. I think that's exactly what it means, but as you can see it's quite nicely presented. All the labels for these beers, incidentally, I think it's just across the writing, depending on the style of beer, the background for the writing here for the Byaregårdens is slightly different depending on the style of the beer. It's a plain bottle cap on this one. On the back it just tells you a little bit around the, it just says basically this is a family, it's from a family run farm Yeah, it just tells you 5.5%. It's a strong beer apparently. But yeah, best before the 25th of August 2016, so it should be quite nice. Just like have a little quick look at that again. Byaregårdens Brygghus, and this is their brown ale coming in at 5.5%. Didn't say on the website exactly what hops and things were in it, but I'm sure it will be quite nice. I've read it's a bit of a cross between an English brown ale and an American brown ale, so we'll soon see. But yeah, I really do like the brown ale style. If you've watched my channel before, you will know that I really do enjoy some of these brown ale beers, so really quite interesting to try this one. And I think this is actually, if I remember correctly, this is the first brown ale that I'm trying for you from Sweden, so it should be a really good one. And my flatmate was really excited about this, that I was reviewing one of their local beers actually. So when we go back up to Varberg in the spring, I'll need to go and visit their little cafe that they've opened up. But as you can see, this beer's poured a nice kind of, I think copper is probably a good way to describe this beer. I'll just shine the light over here so you can see it. There's a solid finger of a frothy, kind of creamy coloured head on that. It's not perfectly white, definitely a nice creamy colour there. There's quite a few little bubbles just going up towards the bottom of the glass, but a couple of bigger ones sticking to the side too, and there's one or two little bits of sediment just floating around in there too. As you can see, if I put my fingers behind it, it isn't transparent at all. It is actually quite a hazy beer, this, but that may well just be the steam, and it could also be the colour of it. There is a little, if I put my fingers like this, I can see there is a little bit of transparency to it, but you're not really going to see that on the camera just because of the colour of it. But yeah, looks a really nice beer, so let's give it a smell. Now it's quite interesting because it does have a good malt base on it, but you can also pick out some of the hoppy characters of the beer too. So in terms of the maltiness of the beer, you can pick out a little bit of the sweet chocolate in there. There is a little bit of roasted coffee and also some kind of toasted caramel. And if you sugar it up a bit, you can get a little bit of kind of a bready and slightly nutty or woody note coming off the beer as well. But in terms of the hoppiness, you can pick up a little bit of a citrusy or floral and aromatic character from this one too. I wonder if the thing on the front was meaning that there's American hops in this beer. Unfortunately on the website they didn't tell you what the malt base or the hop bill on this beer was, which is always interesting to know for beer tasters like me. So hopefully they can update their website and do that, because hopefully I can actually review some more of their beer. So it would be interesting to know what hops and things they use in the beer, because then it kind of, in a way, it helps you know what flavours to look for and how they come out and things. Good way to train yourself as a beer taster, incidentally. But yeah, as I say, it's got all the typical elements in the malt base. A nice sweet chocolatey malt, a little bit of roasted coffee, some caramel, and there is a kind of bready malt base in there with a bit of nutty or woody aroma too. But you can pick out some of the American hop characteristics, a good, slightly citrusy, but mainly a kind of floral and aromatic note, probably a little bit of grassy hop as well actually. But yeah, as I always say, give your beers a bit of a smell before you actually try them. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this guy. So this is the Byaregårdens Brygghus Brown Ale, which is from Veddige in Hallands, near Varberg in Sweden. Skål! That's actually really nice and really quite an easy drinking beer. As I always say, before you try and pick out all the flavours, just sugar it around your mouth a bit and let the whole palate adjust to the beer. Much as you'd expect from the aroma on this beer, you've got a good strong malt base in this, but there is a little bit of hoppy character comes out just in the aftertaste. The beer is definitely more malt forward than hop forward, which for a brown ale, that's exactly what you would expect. You want a nice malt forward beer, but you can get some American brown ales that do have a bit more of a hop base, but when it comes to brown ales for me, I like them to be just a little bit more malty. Yeah, with this one, very big malt base as you would expect, so you've got a nice bready character, kind of a brownie bread character that just blankets the middle of the tongue there. There's some biscuity graininess in there as well, and a little bit of there's a definite woody or more of a woody presence than a nutty presence in the flavour actually, but you'll feel that right in the middle of the palate there is definitely a kind of woody infusion beer. It actually reminds me a little bit of some of the Innocent Gun beers back home in Scotland. It has a little bit of that woody, there is a little bit of nut in there, but it has that kind of slightly infused malt-based flavour in this one. Not quite vanilla, but definitely a woody, kind of bready, infused malt base there. Yeah. If you pay attention to the middle of the tongue too, you can get a little bit of a sweet caramel, but it is quite toasted in fact. And you can pick up some kind of sweeter chocolate flavours too, which is quite interesting. The malt base has got a lot going on in it. Yeah, definite slight chocolate presence to this beer. Very light though. It is more forward when it comes to it is more forward in the bready flavours and that kind of infused flavour there. It's a nice woody character to it. There is a bit more nuts come out as you push forward in actually drinking the beer. More of the nut flavours come out, but definitely a bit of caramel down the middle of the tongue, and there are some kind of sort of cereal flavours, so more like a kind of brown bread malt base in this beer. At the back corners of the palate too, there is a kind of earthy hop character coming out, and that builds a nice bridge between that big malt base and the hoppier characters of the beer. Works really well in fact. Yeah, the hop characters in this beer are actually quite interesting. There is a bit of a grassy and slightly floral, almost aromatic-y, slightly aromatic flavour coming out to this one. The aromaticity isn't too strong, but it's just, you can feel it there. There is a little bit of a slight spice to the beer, but it actually complements the malt base really quite well. You can feel around the edges of your palate, there is just a little bit of a kind of a slightly dry, slightly spicy character from the sort of floral and aromatic flavours from the hops in this one. It works really nicely actually. The flavours all blend together really quite well. And yeah, if you pay attention, behind the very front curve of your tongue, if you pay attention, you'll catch just a little bit of an oily bubble coming out behind the very front of the tongue, and there's a little bit of a kind of citrusy flavour in there. Not really oranges or not lemons or anything like that, just a slightly citrusy and slightly grassy, oily character behind the hops there. But really, the flavours in this beer do blend together really well, and it's highly sessionable and highly drinkable. So if you want a brown beer that's got a good bit of flavour to it, that's quite forward on the bready notes and just has the other things as being a bit more subtle, then definitely one you want to try. But as I'm drinking more and more of this beer, there is just a very light kind of coffee roasted character comes out to this. It's nowhere near as prominent as some of these American porters and stouts and things you can get, but there is just a little bit of roasted character in the middle of the palate at the back. You'll just feel a little bit of a dry roasted bitterness from that, but as I say, it's not a very prominent flavour. It is just a nice kind of mixed thing that's mixed in there. So there's a lot of things going on in this beer. As I always say, just try and pick out the different flavours. Beer is always subjective, so you might pick up some flavours that are a bit different to me, but I think this is a really nice, the flavours in this one blend together really nice for me, and it's actually quite a highly sessionable brown beer. But in terms of the mouthfeel with this one, it's definitely mid-bodied, bit of an oily mouthfeel to it, which is quite nice. The carbonation overall is quite smooth, but it comes in just with a little bit of an attack, and that helps bring out some of the more cereal characters and the bready flavours in the malt base. And it also, I think it also helps the earthy character and the hops come out a little bit more as well. But as you would expect, it's more of a malt forward beer. There is a little bit of sweetness from it, but it is more of a slightly spicy flavour, and there is a bit of coffee, bitter, dry character in the middle of the palate too. But at the same time, you also get an interesting bit of dryness from the hops, and that's a bit of a kind of florally or aromatic character that comes out around the front of the tongue. But yeah, it's really nice, and the flavours in this beer blend together really well. So overall, I'd recommend this beer for people who like a more sort of bready brown ale, if that makes sense. A lot of American brown ales are either quite forward on the fruity characteristics from the hop, or they're more malt focused, and this one is a little bit in between that actually. It's got a nice kind of big bready malt base there, but at the same time there is just a little subtle element of a kind of floral aromatic hop. So for me it works really well, and I would say if you want a nice easy drinking brown ale, then this is definitely one to go for. So yeah, it's been really cool to do my first review from Byaregårdens Brygghus in Veddige in Hallands. It's been really cool to go up and do these beer reviews when I was in Vorbeer, so hopefully I can get back up there and try a few more of their beers. Would be really interesting to try the smoked beer in particular, actually, because smoked beers was where my love of beers really began, so fingers crossed I can do that. But I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. As always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer if you do happen to have tried it before. Always interested to hear you. Do be sure to check it out if you enjoy brown ales. Go and check out the brewery website. Seems like a nice little company, so do go and check them out and support them and all of that. So I thank you again for watching my beer reviews. There will be more Swedish reviews for you to come over the next little while. Until then though, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. I hope you guys are enjoying the series of Nordic beers that I'm doing for you. So there will be more from Denmark and more from Norway and hopefully Finland and things like that as well. But until my next reviews, I'll catch you soon. Sláinte.